Okay, a short presentation. I put this together on Monday, so I hope I have everything in it that I wanted to. Just a few notes, a few words about DFN, how we are organized. We have a head office in Berlin, where management, project management, planning, service ordering, but also part of the operational services like the Lambda service or roaming, PKI, federations, LIR, IP, resource management, voice over IP, and secondary address are also dealt with by the colleagues in Berlin. It's in about 35 people. Then we have a branch office in Stuttgart with 2 teams. One of the teams is the NOC Ops Engineering PERT team. So that's also in personal union, 5 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees, where mainly the work is done on the network, like the services that we are offering, which are the services that probably all of you are offering, like IP multicast, layer 2, layer 3 VPNs, MPLS troubleshooting. Then we also do consulting of universities when they have network issues. Then testing, planning. Also part of the planning procedure is done by us in Stuttgart, and projects, migrations, that should say, and hardware staging. Yeah, anyway, these kind of things. And we are available during normal office hours. We are available 24/7 for escalation issues, which means we have 4 people that are available for on-call duty 24/7, and always one of them is reachable with a dedicated phone number. And we are really quite flexible. We have a spreadsheet where you can enter the times when each of these off-time engineers should be available. And it can change 5 times per night. For example, if you say, oh, I only have time from 6 to 8, and then I go to a concert, so maybe somebody else can do it. So then this number goes to another person, which is then responsible for the shift. Yeah. Then we have a second team in Stuttgart, which is dealing with the service operations, which includes mainly video conferencing, mail. Then we also have this spam service, which is relatively new now. Then we do web hosting. We have DSL dial-in service, which is a small customer base. We do server hosting also for some of them. Then the PKI, federations, AI domains, and these are 8 full-time employees. Then we have other offices also, like the Dfn Cert, which is a separate company and is in Hamburg, and they are also working with commercial entities. So it's there in some 30 people, and I don't know how many of them are full-time and part-time, so it's in that receipts. Then we have the WinLabo in Erlangen. They do mainly statistics accounting. Of course, they are also developers of the HADES system, included in the personal activities. What they also do is quality control, which is checking the SLAs that we have with our carriers that we are buying service from. I mentioned this later also. We do not offer any SLAs to our customers. So this is really purely for the SLAs that we are having with our commercial partners. Then we have another 2 guys, which is Ixus. It's also a company. It's a spin-off from former DFN interns. And I will come to shortly what they are doing. And we have the CNM2 team, which is the customer network management, which probably also some of you know. They are also part of the Perf-Sonar project, and they're in Munich, 2 people. Shortly, a few words on the IP topology. It's actually not the GAR network that we are seeing here. It just looks like the GAR network. What you see is 10 gig. We have and parallel 10 gig links. We have Cisco base, CRS and 7600s, and we will undergo a major topology change this year. We tender for 100G routers in some POPs, not in all POPs. We manage this completely ourselves, and we also manage the local loops to member institutes. We have around 770 institutes connected to these around 56 POPs, I think. And each of them has redundant connections to 2 POPs, which are completely physical separated. And we also order these local loops from the carriers. So we are in charge to troubleshoot them if something is wrong with them. Yeah, and this makes up more than 1,000 links. The POPs are all at the universities, and we are serving universities, research institutes, polytechnicals, government agencies, commercial research labs, medical institutes, but not primary or secondary schools, except for a small number of them using DSL service and web hosting. That's the DWDM view of the network. This is currently based on Huawei BWS 1600G system. They are mainly static lambdas with a lead time of 8 weeks for deployment of new lambdas, which is quite long, of course. This is completely managed by Huawei, but we do have access to the T2000 network management client. So in theory, we could change configs here, but that's something that in practice we do not do. We have also for this a tender ongoing, and by the end of the year, we will have to replace all this with something else, which we still do not know what it will be. It will be probably something ROADM-based with OTN switching functionality, perhaps. And the management of this new platform will be for 18 months by the supplier, and then we are free to decide whether we take the management in-house. And therefore, I'm quite interested. I saw the discussion on the mail list, how the experiences of the different NREDs are with regard to making this step. Yeah, and underneath the DWDM, of course, there's the fiber footprint. That's managed by the fiber providers. It's an IRU. So we have a service desk, and this is outsourced to Dimension Data. So they are doing the 24/7/365 service as the first level, but it's not just they're only on the phone and waiting for somebody to call in, but they're also actively monitoring the routers and also the core and also all the access links towards the customers or users, as you say. So in the core, they monitor the interface status of all the interfaces. And on the access, they monitor the status of the BGP sessions that we run to our users. And in case we do not have a BGP session, they monitor it actively with pings. And if they notify there's something wrong, then they inform the carrier or Huawei in case of core failure. And they are also responsible then to coordinate the troubleshooting or take care that the service is brought back up. If something goes wrong here, they can escalate this to the NOC 24/7. And yeah, the communication with them is by phone, mail, web interface. What you see here is the web interface is the ticket system that they have, that they are offering, and that also the subset of our users has access to, the ones that are the technical representatives from the universities then, of course. And they can open tickets there, we can open tickets there, and yeah, it's a proprietary system there, what they have. And what the good thing is, Dimension Data is also our Cisco contractor. So if we have to do any hardware replacements, they are also responsible for this. So they send out people on site to replace faulty hardware. They're also doing the POP installations. They're also doing the POP cablings. So this is also something that is outsourced to Dimension Data. Speaking of tools, yeah, maybe one or the other knows this one. This is the customer network management. This is what our users are able to see. That's the weather map, and they can also have access to individual usage statistics in the form of monthly volumes, daily volumes, these kind of things. And that's from the LRC Munich and part of the Persona project. We do a lot of the tools ourselves. So what we have here is a POP hardware documentation database where all the POPs, racks, cabling, power, climate, routers, switches, patches, room plans, how to access during office hours, out of office hours, the POPs, where are the ISDN phone numbers, and so on. Everything is documented in here. And this is used mainly, of course, by NOC and also by the service desk. They also have access to that. Then we have a really important tool, and this is developed by Ixus, the company that I mentioned on the second slide, I think. And that's really the core of, well, the Dfn documentation, I would say. Because nearly everything is in there. We have the topology database there. We have a customer user database with all the reachability information in it. We have all the IP addressing is in there. All the hardware is documented in there. Then we have all the services are also documented in there, like also the video conferencing and voice over IP service, for example, that's also documented in there. Then we put all the statistics, not all the statistics, the high level statistics are also in there, like reachability and daily volumes, monthly volumes, and also billing is done via this tool. Then all the contracts are documented in there, both with the externals like ISPs or carriers, and also internal to our users. Then it also does a resource service mapping in that you can say we will have a maintenance on that component of the network, and it will then send out emails about this maintenance to all the services that are relevant. So for example, if we have a maintenance with one router, it sends out an email to all the potentially affected people that are using that specific resource. Also ordering procedures, all the tracking is there, the whole process tracking is also documented in there. So it's really a mighty tool. And we are highly dependent on it. And these are two guys, and I am really scared when they go into one plane. We also use HP OpenView for quite a long time. Well, that's during office hours mainly, during business hours. And perhaps it will also be replaced by Zynga soon. But that's not clear yet. We have a homemade MRTG front end, which is also giving out top N lists, like top N temperatures in the POPs, or top N interface errors, or top N packets per second, and so on and so forth. And that's something that we have developed internally. And the reason why we have all these things developed internally is that we are using this stuff for 15, 20 years now, nearly. So this was all pre-Nagios, pre-Cacti, pre-RT stuff. So yeah. Okay, we have another tool, a counting tool that is maintained by the colleagues in Erlangen, where we have a traffic matrix, and this is mainly used for planning purposes. Then we do not have an internal ticket system. Instead, we have something that we call our mail tool, which is in fact a web front end where all the mails that go to NOC and NOC Dfn are documented here, and then somebody can take a responsibility for that mail, and then but there's no tracking behind this or anything else, but it still works somehow. Yeah, then we also have a tons of script, and we even have one monitoring script that was written in 1993 at Bellevue. And also for network planning and logging, router management and so on, we have really a lot of things that we made in-house. And as I said, because we still use it because it's still pre-Nagios CACD RT. And we have a relatively stable stuff. And because we work so long together, we are not forced to, we don't have much fluctuation. And it would be easier if probably if you have a lot of fluctuation, you have standardized tools. But because we do not have so much fluctuation, everybody's accustomed to all these tools. So yeah, we just go on using them. But it's not true. We also have Nagios OTRS and other tools. But this is mainly used by the service management colleagues that are doing video conferencing and this kind of stuff. So they are using more advanced tools, so to speak. Okay, internet communication. Yeah, we make heavy use of video conferencing, especially with Berlin, because as you saw, we have quite an overlap with the things that we are working on. We have, yeah, of course, phone, mail, Jabber. If there are special important things to discuss, we sometimes go out for 2 days outside of Berlin and discuss things there. And the knock-knock communication for outside NOCs, yeah, it's also done via phone, mail, and IRC. There's an IRC server that is used also by commercial ISP NOC stuff, and this is used from time to time. Okay, some other stuff. We have no written SLAs with customers. We have additional documentation in internal wikis. We used MediaWiki, but we have not been happy with it, so we will replace this with FOSSWiki because the document integration is easier. So to upload documents and so on, that's much better in FOSSWiki than in MediaWiki. And of course, we have operational handbooks called Betriebshandbuch, and that's it from my side. Thank you. Any questions?